Can a simple glue and tape trick replace your need for clamps? Well, sort of. Let me explain. I mean, clamps are great and all, but they have their limitations. And in my line of work, I quite often need to use various clamps to hold things in place. And there are situations where using a clamp to hold things in place is not practical and or possible. But there's a way around this problem. For example, I had a little project I needed to cut out on a small CNC. I was just learning how to use this machine and still testing things out. I wasn't confident that I would correctly cut around clamp locations without running into them and wrecking my bit. So I used this instead. I simply cleaned the two surfaces where I was going to apply the tape and used a little 2-part glue to lock things in place. And guess what? It worked. Really well, I might add. But could you use double-sided tape? I did a little test with it as well, and it worked. However, there's reasons why I prefer using the masking tape and glue method over the double-sided tape. One is that double-sided tape can be really sticky and leave behind residue when removing it or take material with it. Another reason is that if for some reason the two surfaces you're bonding together isn't perfectly flat, the double-sided tape most likely won't bridge that gap. Whereas I find the glue method will bridge some unevenness. A third reason is that double-sided tape sticks immediately, whereas the 2-part glue sticks pretty quick, but does usually give you a moment to get things adjusted into place in case they're not quite perfectly lined up. And I know some of you may be thinking, masking tape? Really? How well could that hold something in place? Well, I was about to find out for you. I was trying to carve out a 90-degree corner to make a waterfall end table. However, my piece had developed a slight warp in it, and my vacuum table on the big CNC wasn't able to hold it down. Because of this, I decided to try the glue and tape method. And after a few nerve-wracking minutes, it worked extremely well, I might add. In fact, there was no way I was going to remove this by hand, as you can see. And a lot of you might be thinking, well, that's cool, but I don't have a CNC machine to use. Well, perfect. One of my favorite uses for this method is something I had to do in a previous video. I had a tricky cut to make on a miter saw, and I wasn't able to use a clamp on it to hold it in place. So I taped it and glued it down, and in short order, I had a properly cut piece and all my fingers to boot. And that's not the only thing you could use this method for. There are many other things as well, such as hammering and click flooring back into place, holding a laser level at a certain height on a painted wall that you can't use a magnet for, a way to hold something being glued in place that needs to sit overnight, such as a backsplash to a wall, or cutting multiple pieces or shaping multiple pieces at once without having nail or screw holes in them. After all, the glue and tape method is plenty strong, and in some cases strong enough to eliminate the use of clamps. Hell, it's even strong enough to hold me up. I'd be really curious to know in the comments what you have used this method for in your experience. And if you found any value in this video, please do me a solid. Subscribe to my channel. I have plenty of other videos with helpful tips and tricks and more on the way. So, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.